I stood barefoot on the cold hardwood floor of our sunlit kitchen, her teacup still half full on the marble island. Morning light streamed through the windows, catching the steam from the kettle I never turned off. The silence was too still, like something sacred had been broken and left dangling in the air. Elena had left just before dawn. No goodbye kiss. No tearful eyes. Just a neatly folded note on the counter. I need time to explore if this is truly our path. Don't try to contact me. I'm going on a clarity retreat with Tobias. I'll be back in a week. Tobias. Her spiritual guide. The man with linen shirts, bare feet, and a voice like chamomile tea. My fingers trembled, but I didn't crumble. I read it twice. Then once more, slower. No apologies. No explanations. Just detachment disguised as enlightenment. We were supposed to finalize our guest list that morning. Instead, I sat at the dining table for 3 hours staring at the RSVP tracker, flipping it closed when her mother texted, "Is today the cake tasting?" I didn't reply. It's strange how grief can feel like clarity. Her absence didn't sting. It confirmed everything I had quietly suspected for months. The way she hesitated when we talked about the honeymoon. The new passwords. The deleted call logs. The moments she drifted off mid-conversation like she was someplace else, with someone else. By noon, I had made 3 phone calls, the venue, the caterer, and the florist. By sundown, our wedding website had a bold red banner across the top. Event canceled. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply reorganized my future. It wasn't until the next morning that her maid of honor, Jill, called me in a panic. "Why is the Wildflower Hall saying the venue's open again?" Her voice cracked. "Is this some kind of glitch?" "No glitch," I replied calmly. "There's no wedding." A long pause. Then, "Wait, what happened?" But I wasn't ready to tell anyone, not yet. Not until Elena came back. Not until she saw what clarity really looked like. 3 days passed. No calls. No texts. Not even a check-in from Elena. Just radio silence wrapped in some mystical fog she called personal growth. I imagined her barefoot in the woods somewhere, meditating beside a stream, while my inbox flooded with confused messages from relatives and friends. "Is everything okay? Do we still book our flights? Please say this is just a misunderstanding." I ignored them all. My silence was the first layer of my revenge, calm, collected, deliberate. Jill kept calling. I ignored her too. But I wasn't doing nothing. I was preparing. First, I boxed up everything that reminded me of our so-called love. The engagement photos, the dress sketch, the his and hers mugs she thought were adorable. Then I returned a ring. She didn't deserve a reminder of my commitment, not when she treated it like an optional adventure. And then came the email. It was from a mutual friend, Carly. No subject line. Just a blurry photo taken at some healing retreat in Sedona. The picture showed Elena, not in quiet reflection, but wrapped in a sunset-colored shawl, laughing a little too close to Tobias. His hand rested on her back like it belonged there. Carly's message was short. "Didn't know she was with him. Thought you should." I stared at the screen for a full minute, my stomach tightening like a fist. This wasn't about soul-searching. This was betrayal, dipped in incense and dressed up in flowery words. That night, I typed one last email to our entire guest list. "Dear friends and family, the wedding of Avery Monroe and Elena Collins has been canceled. Thank you for your support, but there will be no further explanation at this time." Simple. Cold. Honest. But the real twist? I sent a courtesy copy to Elena's email, knowing full well she had Wi-Fi. Tobias might be her guide, but I was about to become her reality check. The next morning, my phone rang. "Elena." I didn't pick up. Then came the text. "Why is everyone calling me? What did you do?" I smiled. "I did exactly what you asked for. Elena, I gave you space. And I used it well. But I wasn't finished yet. Because she hadn't lost the wedding. She was about to lose everything she built around it." She showed up 3 days later, standing at the edge of my porch like a lost traveler coming home from war, except she didn't look battle-worn. No, Elena looked light, peaceful. Her hair braided with wildflowers, her sandals dusty, a soft grin tugging at her lips like she was about to float into an apology. I didn't open the door right away. I just watched her through the front window as she fidgeted, clearly unsure whether she should knock again or let the guilt finally speak. She did knock.
Twice.
I opened the door slowly, arms crossed, body square in the frame, not inviting her in, just letting her look at what she'd abandoned. Her voice came gentle. Hey, I'm back. I noticed. I replied flat. She hesitated. Can I come in? I tilted my head. Why? A flicker of discomfort crossed her face. Because we should talk. I stepped back, just enough to let her inside, but not far enough to feel like she belonged. She walked in slowly, like the house had changed while she was gone. In truth, it had. Every trace of her was gone. Photos, pillows, her little stack of wellness books, all boxed up, out of sight. Elena stood in the living room, arms folded like she was shielding herself. I thought maybe we could sit down and talk about everything. About us. There is no us, I said plainly. Her smile cracked. Okay, I deserve that. But I just needed time to. No. I cut in. You needed space to explore, if I was still enough for you. You needed to disappear without a word while I handled the fallout. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said softly. But you did. I pulled my phone from my pocket, and in case your guide forgot to mention, the wedding's canceled. Everyone knows. Her mouth parted. You actually canceled it? You left without a goodbye, Elena. I assumed that was my cue. She blinked, stunned. But you didn't wait for me to come back. We could have talked through this. He just helped me think. I laughed, cold. You needed to think with Tobias touching your back while sipping oat milk under the moon? Her silence said it all. I walked over to the mantel, picked up the envelope she never opened, the one with her name on it, and handed it to her. It's all in here. Vendor cancellations, guest list removals, and your portion of the deposit return. She opened it with trembling fingers, her face paling as she scanned the contents. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Then don't, I said. But she wasn't ready to let go. Not yet. Elena sat on the edge of the couch, clutching that envelope like it might suddenly rewrite the last week. Her breathing was shallow, not from sadness, but panic. The kind that creeps in when you realize you've lost control of a story you thought you were narrating. You could have at least waited, she murmured. Let me explain before all this. I leaned against the wall, arms folded.
You didn't wait to leave.
Why should I wait to move on? Her eyes flared. So that's it? A week away, and you just erase me? You didn't go to find clarity, Elena. I said, my tone sharp but steady. You went to see if you'd feel better without me. And the truth is you did. I just didn't give you the reaction you were expecting when you came back. She looked down, lips pressed tight. Tobias is just. Don't say his name in this house. Silence. The woman who used to recite affirmations while blending her kale smoothies now looked like she couldn't remember how to breathe. I stepped forward, slowly. You chose yourself. And I'm proud of you for that. But here's what you didn't calculate. I was choosing you every day.
Quietly. Steadily.
Completely. And while you were soul-searching, I was soul-securing.
For us.
For a life together. She opened her mouth, but I stopped her with a glance. I'm not angry anymore, Elena. I'm awake. She stood suddenly, walking toward me like old muscle memory. Her voice broke. I made a mistake. I thought I needed answers, but I got lost in something that wasn't real. But it felt real enough to risk our future, I said calmly. Which means it mattered to you. That's all I need to know. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't expect this. I thought you'd fight for us. I did. When you were here. When you were choosing me.
But now?
I'm not fighting for scraps. She reached out, fingers trembling, about to touch my arm, but I stepped back. That moment hurt her more than anything I could have said. She dropped her hand, voice barely a whisper. So what happens now? I looked her in the eye. You walk out the same way you left. Only this time, I won't be wondering if you'll come back. And as the door closed softly behind her, I took a breath, not of sadness, but of freedom. Except what I didn't expect was what she would do next. 3 days of silence. Again. But this time, it wasn't her choice. It was mine. No missed calls. No desperate texts. Just a quiet phone. A peaceful inbox. And my first uninterrupted weekend in months. I started sleeping again. The kind of sleep that doesn't jolt you awake at 3 a.m. wondering who they're really texting. But peace is never truly peaceful when someone else is unraveling on the other end. Sunday morning, Jill showed up. No knock, no text, just her silver Prius parked in my driveway like a declaration of war. She marched up the steps like she still had a maid of honor speech to deliver. I opened the door cautiously. What now? Jill didn't wait to be invited in. You could have talked to her before humiliating her. I raised an eyebrow. Humiliating her? She ghosted me for a week with a man who gives full moon massages and thinks crystals heal commitment issues. She wasn't cheating, Jill snapped. She was confused. Confused people don't abandon their fiancés 5 weeks before a wedding. They talk. They ask questions. They don't vanish into the desert with their spiritual mentor. Jill threw her hands up. She didn't do anything with him. She just panicked. Even worse, I said. Because she made me feel like I wasn't enough while doing absolutely nothing to fix it. Jill's voice dropped. She's broken, Avery. You blindsided her with a cancellation email. Publicly. I met her eyes. Good. Because now she knows how it feels. That shut her up. She sighed, softer this time. She hasn't left her apartment since she came back. She thinks you hate her. I don't, I said honestly. But I also don't love her anymore. That part stung Jill, not because it was cruel, but because it was the kind of truth no one ever wants to hear. She's not okay, she whispered. I shrugged. I wasn't okay either. But no one came running for me. Jill turned toward the door, then paused. You don't have to forgive her, but at least talk to her. Let her know it's really over. I nodded. She'll know soon enough. Because what Jill didn't realize was that the venue refund? It didn't go back to me. It went to something else entirely. A brand new investment in my name. And Elena's not invited. Monday morning, I stepped into a bright little co-working space tucked behind downtown Asheville, one of those airy, plant-filled places with exposed brick and indie playlists humming just low enough to think clearly. The woman at the front desk smiled. You're Avery, right? Studio 3 is ready for you. I nodded, adjusted the bag on my shoulder, and walked down the corridor to my new office. Technically, it wasn't much. Just a desk, a corkboard, a window that faced a quiet alley. But symbolically, it was my clean slate. With the wedding canceled and the venue refund in my account, I made a choice. I wasn't going to wallow. I wasn't going to become the woman everyone pitied. I was going to become the woman everyone respected. I used the money to finally launch my dream, a small business I'd put off for years because weddings are expensive and now isn't the right time. But time, I'd learned, wasn't the issue. It was always permission. I'd been waiting for someone to believe in me when I should have started with myself. I spent that first day filing LLC paperwork, working on a brand design, and setting up meetings. No distractions. No drama. No Elena. Until my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I let it ring out. But then came the voicemail, short, breathless, unmistakably her. Avery, please. I know I hurt you, but you don't get to erase 3 years like they meant nothing. Just please call me. Please. I stared at the wall, unmoved. She thought I was erasing the past?
No.
I was honoring it by never returning to it. That night, I logged onto our old shared wedding planning board one last time. Not to delete anything, but to repurpose it. The guest list? Now my potential client list. Turns out, people trust a woman who's been through something real. The vendor list? Now my network. Everyone I canceled on responded kindly, some even offer me discounts on future events for how respectfully I handled the breakup. Even the venue manager sent me a message. Let us know if you ever plan something again. The way you managed that chaos? Class act. And just like that, the narrative shifted. From jilted fiancé to entrepreneur with grit. But just as I started to breathe a little easier, an envelope arrived in my mailbox. No return address. No stamps. Inside, a single photo. Elena, Tobias,
Kissing.
dated 2 days before she returned. I stared at the photo for a full minute, my hands still, my jaw clenched so tightly I felt it in my temples. The timestamp didn't lie. Neither did her arms around his neck. Neither did the look on her face, like she belonged to him. 2 days before she came back. 2 days before she stood in my house, asking for forgiveness. And she still had the audacity to say, "We didn't do anything."
My phone buzzed again.
Another message from her. "I miss you. I wish we could just talk without the weight of everything between us. I know I hurt you, but maybe there's still something worth saving." The photo trembled between my fingers as I laughed, not out of humor, but disbelief. What was she hoping to salvage? The version of me that still made excuses for her?
No.
That version was gone. And I suddenly realized, maybe that photo wasn't meant to hurt me. Maybe it was meant to free me. I took a deep breath, pulled open my laptop, and crafted the kind of message that didn't need a shout to be loud. Elena, thank you for the clarity I never asked for but desperately needed. The silence, the retreat, the lies, they taught me everything I needed to finally stop romanticizing potential and start honoring reality. We are not meant to be. Not because of fate or timing, but because you chose someone else in the moment that required you to choose me. Good luck with Tobias. Or whoever comes next. This is my final message. Avery. I hit send, blocked her number, deleted the thread, and exhaled like I hadn't in weeks. And then, I did something bold. I took the photo, walked it down to the local copy shop and blew it up, poster-sized.
Why?
Because the following Saturday was the day we were supposed to get married. Instead, I hosted a private New Beginnings mixer, businesswomen, creatives, and a few friends who stood by me when everything crumbled. In the back corner near the bar, that poster. Elena and Tobias, in full color, captioned with just 4 words. She found her truth. It was the only thing anyone asked about. And my answer was always the same.
She did. So did I.
But just when I thought the story was over, Tobias messaged me. I almost didn't open the message. It landed in my requests folder. Tobias, of all people, had the nerve to reach out. The same man who wore mala beads like armor and whispered about divine timing while stealing someone else's partner. Curiosity got the better of me. "Hey, Avery. I know this is unexpected, but I thought you should know. Elena and it didn't work out. She left yesterday. Said she wasn't over you. I figured you deserved to know. I'm sorry for how things unfolded." I laughed, not bitterly, not cruelly. Just full-bodied, soul-deep laughter. Because of course she left him. She was never looking for a new path. She just wanted someone to carry her off the one she'd abandoned, only to realize it wasn't paved in devotion, just fantasy. She mistook confusion for courage. And now here she was circling back to the woman who once waited patiently at the altar of love. But that woman? She was gone. I didn't reply to Tobias. He wasn't worth it. Neither was Elena. Instead, I sat on the windowsill of my new studio, a cup of coffee in one hand, sunlight on my face, and a growing waitlist of clients wanting to work with me. Not because I was broken, but because I'd put myself back together, piece by piece, and not one of those pieces belonged to anyone else anymore. Jill eventually sent a message too. Just 3 words. You were right. No drama. No explanation. Because even she saw it now, strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks away quietly, builds an empire, and invites peace to stay. So here I am, Avery Monroe, once a fiancé, now a force. No regrets. No what-ifs. Just freedom. And the last thing I'll ever say about it?